Now, though, I'd like to move on to the official opening ceremony of the conference. We're going to hear from some of the people responsible for putting Zug on the blockchain map. So we can see there the four gentlemen we're going to be hearing from. We're going to be hearing from Dolfi Müller, the mayor of Zug, Matthias Michel from the Department of Economic Affairs. We've got Johann Schneider-Ammann, the Swiss Federal Councillor. But before we get to them, I would like to introduce to the stage the president of the Crypto Valley Association. Ladies and gentlemen, Oliver Bussmann.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming. A warm welcome from my side and also in behalf of the Crypto Valley Association to our first Crypto Valley conference. We are very excited because we have over 800 attendees today and tomorrow. 300 registered attendees already for our 14 satellite events. And yesterday we had already 500 attendees looking at our educational track. So it's really something that we prepared for a year. And I will explain you in a minute why it took a year to prepare such a great event. I'm also very honored and delighted to have Johann Schneider-Ammann here today, the Swiss Federal Councillor. We have the Matthias Michel, the head of the Canton Economic Affairs. Wolfi Müller is the mayor of city. So we have all the support here today, and I'm really excited. And you know, it's a journey that we've been through the last, I would say, 18 months. We started the foundation in January 2017 with my colleagues, 5 board members, to establish a leading blockchain ecosystem in the world. And for us, it was very important to bring all partners and players of an ecosystem together, from startups, bring startups in an organized way to Switzerland, to the Crypto Valley, help them to establish their business, help them to grow. Investors, there's a significant amount of investors, local and international, want to invest in startups, to bring them together. Working with the government to help, because this is a pretty new area, to help to establish them from a policy perspective, working very closely together with FINMA. We had over 3 big events together with FINMA, education, sharing what we do from a token policy perspective. There's something that never happened before. So really hand in hand to drive sustainable business to Switzerland, and also working with corporates here to work with them and help them with their help also to grow that ecosystem. And today, I think the research part is something that I want to walk you through, because the event is not only bringing people together, it's all about connecting global research R&D organization from a university together. So today, I have the pleasure to announce that we are 800 members. So we're one of the largest association in Switzerland, with 600 members out of Switzerland, 200 outside Switzerland. It's really a truly global movement. We have over 400 startups, service provider, labs, incubator now located in the Crypto Valley. So it's really growing. We have over 4,000 or 5,000 people in our meetups community, going to our 50 events per year. So it's really a movement that I'm very, very proud of. So that's something that was only possible in bringing all the different players together, and something that is now, from my perspective, a great movement, global movement, in bringing the expertise in the blockchain and cryptographic technologies together. So from that perspective, let me move on. Before I talk about the conference, I'm also very excited to announce another partnership. As you know, we are relying on partners helping us to get resources, focus on that. We have existing partnership with KPMG, with Consensus, with Leicester, helping to coach our startups. bringing expertise together. And today, my pleasure is to announce the strategic partnership with BDO Switzerland. BDO is one of the leading service providers in Switzerland, leveraging their expertise for our community and members. I think it's an important support that we get, and we are really proud to have them on board to grow and scale the community going forward. Talking about the conference, the first IEEE blockchain conference, it took a year to establish that, because if you want to be part of the IEEE organization, you have to follow a certain protocol. So we started establishing a scientific board with over 20 leading universities over a year ago. Then we spent time on figuring out what are the research topics, because we want to have deep content compared to other conferences here today. And we called out for papers last year in September. So we received by March over 60 applications that all the professors, the expertise went through, and the best 20, you have the pleasure today and tomorrow that they present their results. And my prediction is you will see the trends hitting the startup community in the next 18 to 24 months. So something really forward-looking that is unique, because we are the only blockchain IEEE conference that run this year, and we are very proud of that, to get this kind of support. And the support, as you can see, really leading university in the blockchain arena globally, and I think our intention is to continue that network going forward. It means also that this only could happen with the support of our local partners. If looking at the conference highlights, I think we have 6 pillars. Is that we have the educational track yesterday with over 500 attendees. We have the academic track with all the 20 leading applications. Business track talking about IoT, smart contracts, token economy, really leading speakers. We have a blockchain startup challenge that we award tomorrow, over 30,000 Swiss francs for the best startup. We have 14 satellite events across the entire city. And for us, important is the experience. I think being in a beautiful place like Zug, it's important that we also put this together with the city into, there's a big city festival this weekend, so that you enjoy the quality of living and working in such a really unique place. And that's only possible from my perspective, from our perspective, on behalf of the board, is with really close collaboration with our partners here in the canton, with the Canton Zug, providing us support in the day-to-day. We get over 20 requests for meetings, tours, help, etc., to organize that kind of demand. And it's a strong partnership, and we are very thankful that also today Matthias Michel is here and helping us. And the city of Zug was really very grateful that we have the venue today to host such an important event for the region. And the partnership is, from our perspective, really outstanding, and something that we want a special thank to call out to those 2 parties. Also from our side, this event, with all the content, the agenda, is only possible with the support of our sponsors. Especially I want to highlight our sponsors, Bitcoin Swiss, Swisscom Blockchain, and Melonport, really partners that we work together already the last few years, and helping us to enable this kind of conference, this is the first time that we have this in place. The same also applies for the group of sponsors that we have here, with the support that helping us from a content perspective, the satellite events, and then also setting up the booths to share the best practice and expertise. So it's something that we're very grateful, having all the support from government, from the sponsors, corporate, strategic partnership, to enable an ecosystem to position this as a global leading ecosystem in the blockchain arena. So from that point of view, it's my pleasure and honor, I have to say that, because Johann Schneider-Ammann, as the Swiss Federal Council, is a very strong supporter and voice of this movement of the Crypto Valley Association and also all the development that happened over the last few years. And I'm really delighted to announce him that he's part of the conference. And please give him a big round of applause, Johann Schneider-Ammann. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. It's a great honor for me to attend this wonderful gathering. And I had a choice. I had a choice either to come to here to Zug or to go to Geneva and receive the Pope. I'm here. I'm here with you. My dear Cantonal Councillor Matthias Michel, my dear Mayor Dolphy Müller, Mr. Bussmann, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to say a few words to you today. Life punishes those who come late. The meaning of Mikhail Gorbachev's words in the context of blockchain is plain. Switzerland is a global leader in terms of this new technology and its economic application. And we would do well to continue at pace instead of laying in the right track after the moment has passed. History is littered with examples of what happens when the train speeds off in a different direction. The World Wide Web may have been invited in Switzerland at SEM in Geneva, albeit by a Briton, but we will overlook that. But the Internet and Computer Eldorado and its global corporations did not flourish here, but in the United States. Let's do better this time by putting in place attractive, liberal conditions that offer an ideal environment for startups, investors, and established businesses. But just to be clear, a good economic framework doesn't mean giving carte blanche. Abuses must also be consistently prevented in the new digital world. And businesses need legal certainty. Otherwise, investment will be withheld. And that is why a federal government working group is currently studying the need for regulatory measures concerning ICO and blockchain. Cooperation with private actors is working. The Private Blockchain Task Force, under the patronage of Finance Minister Uli Maurer and myself, recently provided us with its analysis and ideas. Thank you for taking part. Ladies and gentlemen, life also punishes those who come too early. I was not sure this morning on whether I could become punished. But I was early enough here in Zug. After the events of the last few months, you can attribute that quote to me. In January, I said that if the experience in Zug were positive, then in a few years' time, the whole of Switzerland should be a crypto or blockchain nation. And that won me plaudits, but also a fair amount of criticism. I think there is no reason for the latter. The fact that Switzerland is today a global leader in high-tech industries and in pharmaceuticals, is seen as normal. It is easy to forget that these sectors too once started out with previously unknown technologies and services, like blockchain is doing today. So let's look for the future. No one really knows if some of the rather hopeful growth forecasts for blockchain-based services and products will actually materialize. But hardly anyone still doubts that the blockchain will penetrate our entire economy. What is clear is that we currently know far too little about the new technologies, their potential and their risks. By we, I don't mean you here in this room. You are the spearheading of that new technology. But let us not forget that we must reach a wider audience. We have to ally their fears of the technological future. And more than that, we must inspire them and convince them of the opportunities. The decisive factor here is education and research. And the Swiss scientist Jacques Dubochet, who won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry last year, said, "Understanding is my way of not being afraid." In the coming years, we must make sure that ever more people are familiar with the technologies of digitalization, know them and are able to use them. For that, we need to put even greater emphasis on digitalization and technology in schools. We need more IT specialists, not to mention blockchain experts. And we need more research projects and professorships in this field. We are working on that step by step. The funding released by the Federal Council of 216 million francs for the action plan of digitalization in education, research and innovation 2019 and 2020 is only the start. Because education and research are essential, I'm especially glad that players from the science world are so much involved in the Crypto Valley Conference. The great commitment on the part of Lucerne University of Applied Sciences and the parallel academia track are a prime demonstration. My dear friends, who would have thought a few years ago that Zug would become the center of new technologies world? We must shape this new world together with optimism and boldness, but also with prudence and consideration. And if we succeed, blockchain can provide new opportunities, new jobs, new levels of security, and new prosperity. It's definitely never too early to start. And that's why you are here. And I stay a few minutes with you, and I do not flee away for Geneva and the Pope. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Johann, for those opening remarks. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Matthias Michel from Zug's Department of Economic Affairs.
Dear Minister Jan Schneider-Ammann, dear organizers and sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, from my side, a heart welcome on behalf of the government of the canton of Zug, heart of Crypto Nation. One remark to Minister Schneider-Ammann. John, you are a Swiss inventor as well. You mentioned the notion, you invented the notion of Switzerland as a crypto nation. And then crypto does not stand for one or two applications like a currency. No, crypto stands for a technology. I think that's, for us as politicians, important to know. Personally, I'm fascinated, living now more than 50 years in this valley. I'm fascinated how dynamic the evolution in blockchain has been the last few years, and how quick a small nation like Switzerland and a small region like Zug and Zurich can get a center of research and applications of this new technology. And I must admit, as for politicians, this dynamic is quite a challenge. Normally, we are used to develop our projects and our law making in a slower, more quiet way. But we have learned. from you. First step was and is still to recognize the potential of this technology. Therefore, under the patronage of Minister Schneider-Ammann and his colleague, Mr. Ueli Maurer, he mentioned it, under their patronage, we started the task for blockchain and published some weeks ago a white paper with recommendations. In a quick and very informal way and dynamic way, like a startup, we worked together with economy and with universities. And I think already this step shows that Switzerland takes new technology as serious, and as well the corresponding applications for the future. We as politicians, we recognize the enormous potential of blockchain. And then we as authorities and our administration, we are eager to know how it functions. And we are open to learn and discuss. And we are welcoming in innovations and startups. We try to help find ways how to integrate these new technologies into existing industries. And I think this attitude, this mental attitude, is the first door opener for you. And then there may be other two elements which are important to be and to grow as a crypto valley and nation. First, we have a long tradition in economic policy. We don't foster special industries, but we shape good conditions, overall conditions, and we work on key location factors as low and stable taxes, good infrastructure, good schools, good higher vocational training, good universities, best universities. One example is the co-host, the University of Applied Sciences of Lucerne, with two important institutes in Zug. One is the Institute for Financial Services, and the other is the IT department. And I'm often asked by journalists, by foreigners all over the globe, please, Minister, show us your blockchain strategy, show us your milestones in your blockchain strategy. And my answer is there's none. Of course, that's a provoking statement, but that's true. The meaning is we don't have a special blockchain or for a special industry specialized strategy. But of course, we have and live the mentioned approach of an excellent framework for every industry. And we invest in the human factor. Means we try to be open as authorities, as administration. We want to be service-oriented, we want to help you, and we are used to collaborate with industries and science, and today with you. And the third element is just this collaboration element. Innovations are driven by collaboration. We are used to work together with companies, with associations, with universities. The best example is the before-mentioned task force. This was and still is a strong collaboration between representatives of administration, politics, companies, association, and universities. So brains of three levels, the economic level, the political level, and the scientific level are working together. And this, I will call it, it's the Swiss way. So it's not a long, quiet, slow way. I'd say it's a Swiss smart way to work together. Still now, I have seen and attended a lot of summits and conferences in this technology. I think this one is of great importance as it shows a lot of applications of this technology. Blockchain has contributed to much more than just creation of a digital currency, and more importantly, the technology opens vistas for the future, in which the whole basis of change, of trading, and so on, are entirely rethought. 2 months ago, we had a discussion in our local parliament of the Canton of Zug, about applications, about the future of blockchain. And the main consensus from left to right was some skepticism and critics about digital currencies, but a lot of trust and expectations in this new technology and its hundreds or thousands of applications. And I think important is that you show us about the value proposition of your applications. So by this you can show us cases, business models, and therefore you have the chance, but you have to take it to strengthen the trust of politicians, the trust of public in the technology and in your companies, in your business models. I wish you a very good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Now, our opening quartet of speakers is going to be rounded off with the Mayor of Zug, Dolphy Müller.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, especially Mr. Johann Schneider-Ammann from the federal government. It's a pleasure to meet you all here in Zug. It took nearly 16 years till I got my chance to speak after a member of our Federal Council. Mr. Schneider-Ammann is here for about 8 million Swiss people. My colleague from the canton, Matthias Michel, represents 125 1,000 inhabitants of the smallest canton in Switzerland, and I speak for 30,000 persons living in the city of Zug. Once Matthias Michel said, the Crypto Valley story can be compared with a game of chess. The federal administration makes the rules. The canton of Zug brings the chess pieces into position. And the city of Zug has the role of a wild jumping horse on the board. I can tell you this role I like best. It is the USP of a small town which has a long tradition of being open-minded and flexible. 80 years ago, our fathers created a special tax law expecting globalization to come. It was a real political innovation and a kind of proof of pioneer spirit in Zug. Zug economic takeoff happened in the 1970s. Today we have 10,000 more working places than inhabitants in our town. Today there is a greater need for innovation than before. That's why Zug city administration accepted Bitcoin, not yet for tax paying, but for certain fees. But how could this happen? In the year 2013, I always say a small flying saucer, a UFO called Crypto Valley, landed in the quiet pre-Alpine region of Zug. First, we did not react at all. 3 years later, the City Council of Zug invited a student explaining us the difference between Bitcoin and blockchain. Honestly, we didn't understand everything. Nevertheless, we decided to accept Bitcoin for these certain services of Zug city administration. It was just the decision of 5 politicians from 5 different parties. We didn't ask our experts. And this was the beginning of a really good story which is still going on. We from the cantonal and the city administration play just the background music. The solo musicians are the people from Crypto Valley Association, the founders of different startups in Zug, innovative lawyers, and scientists from the universities of the surroundings, especially Lucerne. This blockchain conference is not the first in Zug, but it's the biggest one we ever had. The Zug ecosystem and cooperation with people from business, law, and science brought a new project for our city. It is the digital ID based on blockchain. That's important, based on blockchain. Next week, we are starting a first test of e-voting based on this decentralized technology. You know, Switzerland is a decentralized country and a very, very direct democracy with at least 4 people's referenda a year. It would be a disaster if Swiss e-voting could be hacked. But we are quite sure that our blockchain solution could solve this problem. Whatever will happen, we are on the way to learn more about this. Zug people is really curious about future to come. It's nice to meet people from all over the world who think the way we do here in Zug, like our Federal Councillor Johann Schneider-Ammann. Thanks to all which made this conference possible, and have a good stay in Zug. Thank you very much.